Hello, friends. I am Dr. Barbie Wasson with River Point Family Acupuncture, and this is River Point's podcast where we get to the point on all things acupuncture, health, and vitality in the River Valley. Today, we are continuing the Anatomy of Trust series and talking about one of my favorite topics and also one of the most underappreciated parts of your body, muscle. Not fitness influencer on Instagram muscle and not I live in the gym muscle, because we all know that that is not me. But I am talking about the quiet, everyday muscle that decides your blood sugar, bone health, energy, mood, and how you age. Also, whether future you can get up off the floor with minimum groaning and grunting. So, if you have ever thought, yeah, I know I should lift weights, this episode is your gentle but firm nudge in that direction. Most people think about muscle in terms of how it looks or how much it can lift. You might want to feel stronger, look a little more toned, or if you're me, carry all your groceries in one trip because multiple trips are for quitters, and I stand by that statement. All of that is perfectly fine, but muscle is way more important than that, and it is worth building, maintaining, and protecting for your entire life. Skeletal muscle is one of the biggest players in your metabolism. It is a major site for glucose storage and disposal after meals. It also releases its own signaling molecules called myokines that communicate with your brain, immune system, fat tissue, and more. When muscle is healthy, a few things tend to happen. Your energy is more stable, your blood sugar is better controlled, your body is more resilient to physical stress. When muscle is lost or underused, the opposite tends to happen. Blood sugar regulation is taxed, daily tasks feel harder, and injury risk goes way up. This is not just about being fit. This is about how your body is wired to work. So, how does muscle actually work? Without a textbook explanation, let's talk about what's going on under the skin. Muscle is made up of fibers that contract and relax to create movement, kind of like this. That's contraction, and then this is relaxation. When you lift a weight, climb stairs, or do anything that challenges you a bit, you create controlled stress inside those fibers. Because your body is in a perpetual state of adaptation, which is pretty amazing when you think about it, it reads the challenge as a signal. If muscle could talk after a challenge or strain, think of it as saying, whoopsies, that was a little rough. We should probably get stronger for the next time that happens. So it goes to work repairing those fibers and makes them more resilient. And that repair process needs amino acids from protein, enough total energy intake, think carbs and fat, recovery time, and supportive hormones, which I guess goes back to nutrition and sleep, by the way. See how everything fits into a nice little neat box. Over time, that turns into more muscle, more strength, and a bigger capacity tank for your life. Behind the scenes, there are specific pathways helping this along. One of the big ones is called mTOR. It is activated by resistance training, certain amino acids like leucine, and adequate fuel. When it is triggered appropriately, it helps increase protein synthesis and supports adaptation to training. You also have satellite cells. These are your muscle's stem cells that jump in to help repair and remodel tissue when you challenge it. The short version, you give your body a clear signal with strength training, you feed it properly, you rest, and your body upgrades in a big way. Without that signal, your body has less reason to keep muscle around. Inactivity, illness, and chronic undereating can all speed up muscle loss, which is one reason strength training and conditioning gets more important as we age, not less. This is not a young man's game. This is an everyone game. Have you ever thought about muscle as the body's sponge? No, probably not, but now's a good time to start. One of the muscle's most important jobs is helping regulate blood sugar. After you eat carbohydrates, glucose enters your bloodstream Skeletal muscle is where a lot of that glucose gets stored in the form of glycogen. Think of muscle as a sponge. A larger sponge can soak up more. More muscle means more space to park glucose after meals, which means less sugar hanging around in your bloodstream causing trouble. Muscle also improves insulin sensitivity, or how responsive your cells are to an insulin signal. That means your body often needs less insulin to move glucose into cells, which is a great thing for metabolic health. When muscle contracts, it can pull glucose into cells through pathways that don't rely entirely on insulin. That is one reason exercise can drop blood sugar even when insulin is not doing a perfect job. So, especially if you're insulin resistant, you should be weightlifting. This can slow the progression of insulin resistance and reverse it. When muscle mass is low and you barely challenge it, glucose regulation usually gets worse over time and can drift towards insulin resistance because you are relying more and more on insulin to control your blood sugar. Your body will stop listening to that signal eventually. This is one of the clearest examples of structure influencing function. Muscle is not just storage, it is an active metabolic organ that talks to the rest of your body. Did you know that muscle and bone are quiet besties? They actually talk to each other constantly. When muscle contracts, it puts stress on the bone. That mechanical loading tells your bone building cells, the osteoblast, to maintain and strengthen the skeleton. Without regular loading, bone gradually becomes weaker. This is why resistance training and impact-based activities are some of the most effective tools we have for protecting bone density and reducing osteoporosis risk. Cardio is still great for heart and metabolic health, but many forms of cardio do not load the skeleton as directly as strength work or impact do. Muscle sends the signal, bone responds. Most people rarely hear endocrine system or hormones and think muscle, but I would argue muscle is technically an endocrine organ as well. Yes, really. When muscle contracts, it releases myokines, which are signaling molecules that influence inflammation, metabolism, immune function, and even brain health. Exercise has been shown to improve mood, support cognitive function, and reduce risk markers for chronic disease. Muscle activity and myokines are part of that story, and you are not just working your muscles when you train. You are sending messages throughout your entire system. This is one reason movement is so reliable for mood. Training can increase blood flow to the brain, influence neurotransmitters, and increase growth factors like BDFN that support neuroplasticity. That's your brain's literal ability to adapt and change. It is not just psychological, it is biological. You are training and changing your brain every time you train your body. Here's another point that always perks the ears of my aging population. Muscle strength and physical function are some of the strongest predictors we have for long-term independence and quality of life. Muscle will determine your independence as you age. As muscle declines with age, a process called sarcopenia, a few things tend to happen all at once. Metabolic rate decreases, blood sugar regulation worsens, cognitive function suffers, balance and stability decline, fall and injury risk rises, and recovery slows. This is why maintaining muscle is not just about aesthetics, it is about staying capable. Strong muscles support strong bones, stabilize joints, help you move confidently through your world with less falls, less injury risk, and heightened cognitive function. They also give you more reserve to handle illness, surgery, stress, and basic physical demands of being a human. The goal is not just to live longer, it is to live well while you are here. Muscle is one of the most powerful tools you have to support your quality of life. And here we are at my favorite part of the Anatomy of Trust series, the Chinese medicine perspective. In Chinese medicine, muscle is closely related to spleen and liver systems. And remember, when we talk organs in Chinese medicine, we are talking about a set of functions in the body and not always about the physical organ. The spleen system in traditional Chinese medicine is responsible for transforming food into usable energy and nourishing the muscle. When spleen function is strong, energy is more stable and tissues are better supported. The liver governs the sinews, muscle, tendons, and connective tissue. It supports smooth movement and flexibility. When liver energy flows well, movement feels coordinated and tension is low. When it's constrained, muscle feels tight, stiff, or prone to strain. Different language, same observation. Muscle depends on nourishment and proper regulation. And as a side note, the quickest way to move stuck liver energy is movement. You literally move your body, as in exercise. Excuse me. I am telling you guys that the ancient Chinese really knew what they were talking about. So please hear me when I say exercise is so important to your whole system. So what does this mean for your daily life? Understanding muscle changes how you look at exercise. You are not just burning calories or earning your food. Please do not have that mindset with exercise. You are improving your body's ability to manage blood sugar, expanding metabolic capacity and adaptability, building and maintaining bone density, supporting hormone balance and insulin sensitivity, sending anti-inflammatory signals throughout your body, supporting brain function, mental clarity, and mental health, and building a body that adapts instead of declines, one that moves and reacts with more confidence and less hesitation. And one of the most underrated effects, you are building mental and emotional resilience and a real sense of satisfaction. This is true mind, body, spirit work, all wrapped up into the act of strength training and movement. Because of this, strength training lives very high on my return on investment list, right up there with digestion and sleep. Strength training provides the signal, protein provides the building blocks, recovery like rest, that's important. Recovery is when the magic actually happens. Consistency is how you keep what you build. This is not about going as hard as possible. It is about showing up regularly with meaningful, doable effort. But Dr. Barbie, how does acupuncture fit in? Can acupuncture act as a dupe for weightlifting? Well, no. That was a dumb question. No, I'm just kidding. But really, no. Sorry. This is one of those do the work yourself for maximum benefit, or any benefit at all for that matter. But acupuncture can support muscle in a few key ways. It can improve local circulation to the muscle tissue, reduce pain and tension, and support recovery by influencing the nervous system and inflammatory signaling. From a Chinese medicine lens, it helps restore proper flow through the channels and nourish muscle through the spleen and liver systems. Clinically, people often notice less tightness, better mobility, and easier return to activity. It doesn't replace training, but it can make it easier to actually do the training and recover from it. So, your next step. If this helped you see muscle differently, which I really hope it did, do one thing with that insight today. Not 10 things, not all the things. One thing. Take a walk with intention, maybe with some hills. Pick up something heavy a few times or several times, or just do a simple strength workout at home. YouTube is a really great resource for this. Or if you need more structure or help with an injury, schedule the appointment you have been meaning to make. Your muscles and your future metabolic health, bone, and brain will notice. That is it for today's River Points podcast. And as always, with wishes of wellness and a super buff physique, I am Dr. Barbie Wasson, your friendly neighborhood meathead enthusiast, cheering you on as you build a body you can trust.